There's a moment many successful people eventually reach when the role that built their success no longer feels like who they really are. From the outside, everything still looks successful, but internally, something's shifted. So why is it so hard to clearly articulate your value even when you know you have it? Because there's a moment before clarity where something deeper has to happen first. Welcome back to your Passion, Purpose, and Personal Brand. I'm Lisa McGuire, Strategic Identity Advisor, and this episode is part 6 of a series I've been recording called the Identity Evolution Series. And if you've been enjoying this series, if you've been finding yourself somewhere inside of these conversations, make sure you're subscribed, because this isn't a one-off idea. It's a progression, and where we're going next builds on everything we've been talking about. Up until now, we've been walking through what I call internal disruption, an internal shift. Not something that happens once, something that happens over and over again. And if you're noticing it now, this may not be the first time. If you're someone who is committed to growth because as you live and as you make meaning of your life, your identity evolves. We started with truth. The moment you recognize the role that made you successful no longer feels true. Then, successfully stuck, where success still exists, but it no longer feels like you. Then came identity eclipse, where two identities overlap and clarity disappears. Then we found ourselves at reinvention ridge, where the identity that built your success runs out of road. And now we arrive here. This is the moment where something begins to stabilize. Not externally, internally. You might be here if you can see what you bring, but struggle to fully claim it. You know you're valuable, but you still feel like you have to prove it. You've outgrown your role, but haven't fully stepped into what's next. You find yourself over-explaining instead of simply stating. You might also notice that you edit yourself mid-sentence, even when you know what you want to say. You soften your perspective so it lands more comfortably. You feel the gap between what you're expressing and what you're actually thinking. Or maybe this is the simplest version. You know you have something, you just don't feel fully settled into it yet. So let me tell you what I see. The reason why you can't clearly articulate your value is not because you lack clarity. It's because you're still trying to prove it. And that's a pattern most people don't realize they're in. As long as you're trying to prove your value, you will never fully be able to claim it. There's a moment before you can claim your category, where something in you decides you've had enough. Enough of trying to prove your worth. Enough of shaping yourself to be accepted. Enough of explaining what you know is already true. Most people try to define their category before they've decided they are enough. I want to share something more personal here, because this isn't just something I teach. It's something I've lived very recently. What I now call my reckoning week. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was undeniable. I started noticing patterns, small ones at first, the kind you could easily ignore if you wanted to. I would walk into a room, listen, read the room, and then adjust. Not in a strategic way, in a subtle way. I would soften my voice, choose different words, say something in a way that would land more comfortably. So I would belong, so I wouldn't offend, and so I would be accepted. And one moment in particular stands out. I had a thought, a clear one. I could see something, and just as I started to say it, I adjusted it. I felt the need to soften it, reframe it, and make it more palatable. And I caught it in real time. And the question that came up wasn't, was that the right thing to say? It was, why didn't I just say what I actually saw? And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Not just in that moment, but everywhere. I saw it in how I wrote my content, how it surfaced in conversations in my business. It appeared in how I had been showing up. And then I started seeing it in others. People performing versions of themselves instead of standing in what they actually know. And the truth is, it wasn't new. I had just reached the point where I could not ignore it anymore because something in me had decided enough. It didn't come as a declaration, at least not out loud, but as a quiet internal shift where something stopped negotiating. And what I came to understand is this: the answer wasn't out there. It wasn't in better messaging or a clearer strategy. It was in my ownership of who I uniquely am. That was the resolution to the question, am I enough? And I'll share more of that story another time. But what matters here is this: once you see it, you don't go back. There is a moment when you stop trying to prove your value that something very different happens. You stop asking, what should I say? And you start asking, what do I see that others don't see yet? And if you stay with that long enough, everything begins to reorganize. And if you're honest, you may have already felt this. You just didn't have language for it yet. I have a name for that moment: category of only. Your category of only is not something you create. It's something you recognize. It's what becomes visible when you stop compensating. It's the intersection of what you've lived, what you've learned, and what you can now see that others can't see. Most people think category is about differentiating, standing out, competing. But category of only is different. It's not, look at how I'm different. It's, this is what's mine to say. And this is where something begins to settle. I am enough. It's not something you say out loud. It's something you stop questioning. So let me ask you something. Where are you still trying to prove something that you already know is true? What do you see that you've been hesitant to fully claim? What have you been adjusting that you no longer need to? Because recognizing it is only the beginning. The next challenge becomes, can you hold that identity when pressure shows up? That's what we're going to explore next. If today's episode resonated with you and you're starting to see yourself in this shift, there's a deeper layer to this work. If you'd like to understand more about the category of only process, how to take what you see and translate it into something clear, ownable, and expressed in your work, you can find more about it in the show notes. Or simply stay with what's already coming into focus. Because more often than not, you already know. You just haven't fully trusted it yet. So until next time, stay with what you're seeing, even if you can't fully explain it yet. Because sometimes the clearest signal is the one you don't quite have words for. You don't need more proof. You need more trust in what you already see. Thank you for being with me today. We'll look forward to seeing you here next time.